comments via StreamYard before. I've always just had like a Twitter and a Discord and a Twitch.
It's definitely better to do it through Twitch because StreamYard doesn't really let you like paste stuff, I think. I don't remember. It has some limitations. Oh yeah, it just doesn't let you reply at all. So
oh, that's unfortunate.
Or maybe you can, but I can't. Maybe I can't as a guest. I think that's what it is.
Oh. Well, I'm going to add a banner. Hooray! Oh, man, look at this.
Awesome. Okay, let me... Going live. Installing...
You're live now?
ESLint with a... Are you the creator of TSLint? What can I call you that makes you sound cool?
One of the maintainers. There have been people who said that I've created TypeScript, or not created, but like work on the TypeScript team, or have created TS ESLint, and I don't want to steal valor here. Makes me
more fun to say
nervous.
Like, oh yeah, I'm on stream with like the person who invented linting.
Just say that. I think people will get the joke. If not, they're not people we really need to worry about. It's fine.
Let me stick this in. I'm not at the point in Astro where I feel comfortable posting this in general, so I'm going to do it in off topic.
Okay. To anyone who's watching on the stream now, waiting for stuff, we're going to talk about ESLint and TypeScript ESLint. If you have any questions, topics, things you want to bring up, please let us know in the chat, on Twitter, and all the various Discords Dan is now posting in.
Okay.
If you have no questions, just who are you? Tell us who you are. Why are you here? And do you have any hot takes or opinions on linting or static analysis you want to bring up? Thanks for joining the stream.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice. Sometimes we usually wait a little bit for people to join, but it looks like some people are trickling in, which is awesome. Joshua K. Goldberg wrote in.
That's me.
Much appreciated. Let me. Yeah. I always just pop it in Discord's WhatsApp groups. I should write a script for going live. Like all the Discords that I post in.
I'm waiting for like pigeons to start flying in and out behind your head. It's a little like cup on the string.
Sweet. So yeah, we have can you pull up the thread where it all began with Ben's meme?
Yes.
Because that's the real context.
This is a great meme and a great post of the meme.
We should do a meme explainer because I don't really understand this.
Okay. It is, the meme is that this individual with the pink and the white is aggressively shouting some long explanation at this person who is uninterested. Which is interesting to me as a meme because recently we had a very similar one where the gender roles were reversed of what they present as. So I'm glad we're doing both. But I could also dive into the text here and explain which of these are wrong. But
that's what I really want. Yeah. I don't, first you want to install Prettier, ESLint plugin Prettier, and ESLint config Prettier.
Yeah. Girlfriend explaining meme template. That, I guess that's what this is. I figured you understood it, but like wanted for the viewers. But okay. So the two main tools we're going to talk about today as like a primer while people trickle in are Prettier and ESLint. Prettier is a formatter. Prettier.io, I want to say, is the website. In all caps. It takes in your code and it only manages your what's called like tokens. Things that don't actually change the meaning of the code. White space, maybe like parentheses or semicolons. Shout out to anyone who still has hard opinions on tabs or spaces. Whereas it's tabs. Tabs is the correct one now. ESLint is one that has kind of the opposite view. ESLint just looks at how your code runs. It shouldn't generally care about white space, like parentheses and so on. Am I with you and everyone so far? Good to go?
Yeah, keep going. Prettier also like generally has a lower setup cost. Like it kind of just has an opinion out of the box.
Yes. Yeah, Prettier is much more opinionated. ESLint is much more configurable because Prettier does less stuff. It's also faster as a result. ESLint plugin Prettier is not something I recommend people use. It lets you run Prettier inside ESLint. So like Prettier complaints will come up as ESLint rule violations. I don't think that's a good idea. I think the two plugin things are separate. Like, is this spam?
Yeah, it's spam. But
I
hey,
love getting spam.
At least they contribute to the viewer count.
Yeah. Oh, where's the stupid?
Should I do a gift sub to the spammer?
Oh my god, do you still have 1 million? I love it. I'm going through the reporting flow. I wish it was easier just to do it in real time. Spam. Anyway, I don't think it's a good idea to run Prettier as a part of ESLint. I think in general you want to run them separately. ESLint's much slower than Prettier. It also does a lot more logic. So
I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I didn't understand about this tweet was, wait, have I been doing it wrong?
Yeah, and parasocial meta learning, PML, brings up a really good point too, that like Prettier generally just runs, like people configure it to run when you save a file or maybe as a git commit hook or both. And it's so annoying to have just a bajillion squigglies show up every time you make a change, because Prettier is reporting through ESLint, which updates in real time. So yeah, +1. Not what I'd recommend. Yeah.
Well, so ESLint code actions on save. What about that?
I use code actions on save. I don't know what they're complaining about. But you can do both. Like you can have format on save and have your default formatter be Prettier. Like I use a format on save for Prettier, and then I have a .vs code/settings file that sets the formatter to Prettier. And then I also have ESLint auto fixing on save. Like you can do both.
So ESLint can do auto fixing, which is not formatting.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah. If there is, I guess you can define a ESLint rule to not just notice something, but suggest a fix.
Yeah. Yeah, like a rule might say you should use const instead of let if the variable is never reassigned. So it can change your variable from a let to a const for you if it knows that that's safe.
Sweet.
And I'm tweeting at Ben that we're meme explaining.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so basically what happened was I replied to this tweet, like all I do is just wait for someone to do the config for me. And then Josh was like, all right, I'll do it.
Life. Always happy. Ben Holmes I haven't watched the video, but knowing Ben, it's a very good video. So +1 to Ben's social marketing.
He did a video today on ESLint? I didn't even notice this. That is genius. He did a viral tweet yesterday anticipating posting this video. Damn.
Best brain. That's how you get the subs. I wish I was doing this.
I wish I worked at the same company as him.
Where does Ben work?
Astro.
Oh, there we go. So you're gonna go over in the company Slack or whatever. Right?
It's just Discord.
Chat. Discord. Use Discord? I've always wondered, is it good as a Slack replacement?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, especially if you're an open source project.
Wow.
But yeah, I told Ben that the reason why I joined Astro was to learn his pun game, because Ben has like legendary pun game that he uses in his PRs.
Oh God.
So Yeah,
I'm so
but
jealous.
as much as I would love to do an entire stream about Ben Holmes, uh, we
So
got
next in the story.
Yeah, I posted the solid docs next repo, which is a relatively messy repo that uses solid start, which is a SSR framework to write some docs. And this repo did not have prettier or ESLint, and it's a total mess. So we're going to check out what Josh did to make it a little bit less of a mess, because he didn't just install ESLint, but he did some CI stuff, which is a fancy name for do something automatically when you push.
Yes. I did 2 toolings and a couple integrations. I added ESLint and Prettier. So ESLint checks logical issues, which, by the way, it can check for formatting, but it's really bad at it. So a lot of people recommend not to use it for that. And I also added Prettier, so for formatting. And I added CI jobs so that every time you push to a pull request, in addition to having, say, the nice little netlify statuses, if this PR were to be merged into the main branch, pull requests would also check to make sure that Prettier is okay, that there are no formatting issues, and that ESLint hasn't detected any new style or logic issues. So yeah. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I didn't do Prettier. I just did TypeScript and ESLint. My bad. I'm sorry. I forgot what I did. It's been more than 3 hours, so I've completely forgotten everything about this pull request.
Okay, well, no worries. ESLint is the bigger one because it prevents us from writing bad code. Prettier just prevents us from writing ugly code.
Yes, I would like to add. Also, I'm noticing a formatting issue. I would like to add Prettier, but figured this was the high value stuff for now.
Oh yeah.
So, there you go. All right.
So yeah, you wrote it all up. So the first thing is like the actual .eslint file.
Yes. It's linked rc.json. Here is that file. I'm going to try to get everything in. Okay. We can almost see everything. Can I full screen? Oh my God. I'm new to Mac.
So someone asked, would you use Prettier as a gate or use it to actually do the formatting? It usually actually runs. You can use it as a command line tool to actually format your files, and then VS Code interacts with that.
Yes. I would suggest both. Like Prettier has a mode that formats for you, and it has a mode that complains if things are wrong. So in your local editor, use it to format for you, like on save, on commit. And then in CI and continuous integration, make sure your pull requests are doing that they don't have any style issues. Yeah, my issue is I don't know what to call these things. Maximize? No. Full screen? Not what I want. All right. Is this zoomed in enough?
Yeah.
Let me see. All right. Just barely, not overlapping. So we can go through these, not quite in order, I think makes sense. Root says that this is the ESLint config for our project. That just means that don't look for ESLint configs in parent directories, because ESLint at the moment lets you define ESLint configs in nested directories. So this is the ESLint config root for the entire project. So root true. Not the most exciting flag. The most exciting flag is extends, where we define 4 things that we extend from that have some variant to the word recommended or strict in them. These are a bunch of really good rules that the maintainers of ESLint and TypeScript ESLint, which we can get into in a moment, have recommended that everyone turn on.
Why is Prettier in your ESLint? Doesn't that break some sort of separation of concern situation?
It does. This is actually what was mentioned in the tweets of ESLint config Prettier. So this is something that actually confused me. I had the wrong one in an important documentation file for like several years. ESLint plugin Prettier is not what you want. That's the thing that runs Prettier. ESLint config Prettier all it does is it disables any ESLint rules that might conflict with Prettier. That's all. It just disables all the formatting rules in ESLint.
So you're saying by adding Prettier to your ESLint config, you turn off Prettier in ESLint?
Can you say that one more time?
You said if you add ESLint config prettier, it tells ESLint to not conflict with prettier.
Yes.
Which means that by adding the word prettier, you tell ESLint to not be prettier.
Yes. Yes.
It's like meant like they should rename that don't conflict with prettier or something.
ESLint config, shut up about the white space. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
you should have made. Where were you like when this thing was being named? We needed
Can I do a PR on the entire name of the project?
The magic of open source.
Wait,
sponsored by Astra.
But there's no. But there's no way that the actual project is called prettier. Like there's some alias going on here.
Yeah, this actually confused me for a while. I don't know why plugin. Oh, you know what it is? ESLint automatically inserts a ESLint -config- in front of it. So, well, I'm just going to go into the dev tools and what happened to my dev tools and change this. Like we could have said ESLint -config -prettier. That would have been the same thing, which is why I feel comfortable.
That's better. I'm gonna do a commit to this PR.
Sure.
This is a good question. Does order and extends matter?
What a great question. It does. ESLint will apply the things in order. So first it sets all the settings specified by ESLint recommended, which is the core ESLint rules that are recommended. Then it'll make any changes for TypeScript ESLint, which is the tooling that lets you run lets you run ESLint on TypeScript code, and then also comes with some recommended rules. And some of plugin TypeScript ESLint /recommended, some of its configuration disables built-in ESLint rules because they conflict with TypeScript or its rules. So yes, order matters, and that's why I put this one last, just in case someone accidentally enables a formatting rule. This one will turn it off.
Gotcha. Cool. So is it worth going through the difference between, recommended, requiring, type technical, script, strict, and all that?
A little bit. I would like to breeze through it, but not spend too much time. TypeScript ESLint is under this org namespace, which is why we have to put an explicit plugin in front of it. I don't know if this works, but it's basically the same as this. It comes after the same. Recommended is a bunch of recommended rules that don't use type information, like TypeScript's ability to know what type value is, whereas the latter two do. And these strict ones are a lot more opinionated, so people tend to have a harder time unless they're TypeScript experts like you and me.
Like you. You actually invented the idea of types.
I did, yes. Back in 1973, I was working at the Los Alamos lab in Albuquerque, Georgia. And yeah. Cool. Phil Spencer and I. Okay, so yeah, these are just a bunch of good rules. In our next major version in TypeScript ESLint, we will just make it so you can include just strict, but we couldn't in this one because break and change. So now you have 3 extra lines of config. And I'll pause there. Sound good so far? Any more questions?
Yeah, let's see if Chad has any questions about this. I think this is the kind of thing that I'm willing to take as the way you do things.
That's how I feel about JavaScript a lot of the time, these configurations. It is trivial and straightforward to set it up once you know it, but it is neither trivial nor straightforward to know it in the first place.
Did you write this file yourself, or is this some CLI that does it for you?
Oh, I copy and paste. Every time I make a new project, I copy and paste, and half the time I end up changing something slightly. It is an anthropological dig through my projects to see my configs changing over time.
I love this because we're justifying my tweet, which is wait for someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good question, actually. What tutorial source do you recommend for JS beginners? Oh, for ESLint. Damn it, I have no idea. I was I know, and then I was no, I don't.
I actually want to hear your answer first because I get this question sometimes and don't know how to answer for JS itself. Is that what you meant?
Dan? Yeah, I don't know. The truth is I haven't done a good audit of all the good ones recently, but I know enough people that have learned to code to the extent of being able to get a job from either the Odin project or Free Code Camp that I usually go for those. And then usually what happens is after I recommend it, they'll go try it and they'll come back to me with a specific question, and they'll be like, that's where I want to be in. Like when we're past the stage of like, where do I start?
Nice. Okay, Odin project and free code camp.
Yeah, I should pull these up again. Ooh, Odin project got fancier. Their website got a lot nicer.
Ooh, they have great performance.
Right? They must have used Astro.
No other options?
They probably used Rails. Rails is pretty fast.
But one of the things I love doing, this is a total tangent, but I'm in a good mood, is I will just view source and try to quickly figure out what like site or framework or whatever they used.
All right,
like,
let's see
if you search for WP, it's not WordPress.
Well, I think it's Rails. How would you figure out if it's Rails? Because Rails might not put anything on the front end side, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know they use New Relic.
And that's just analytics, right?
Yeah. I don't know what /pack. Okay, yeah, I give up.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to tease out what backend framework they use. I think .NET, like if they're using ASP.NET, it's pretty clear. But like Rails versus Laravel versus some other PHP framework.
Yeah. Are their devs happy?
How would you figure out? It's really easy to figure out if it's Astro. Every island in Astro is labeled Astro-island. So.
Oh my God, what was it? Docs.solid. This is like the new docs. By the way, this is don't read the site. Whatever you see here is not the official solid docs. Just throwing that out there so no one gets confused.
I appreciate
that. What is this?
Okay, so this is solid start. So the way this works is it uses these are basically IDs for hydration. So the way hydration works is it needs to attach new information, like client-side information, like interactivity, to old information from the server. And to do that, you need to give everything a label.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, well, I answered this question already. I said every Astro island has Astro-island in the ID.
I also just realized I need to be putting the chat on the screen because I'm not on my normal OBS setup.
But this site, the Solid Docs was not made with Astro. It was made with Solid Start.
Right.
That's the whole problem, which is it's a very new piece of tech. Yeah. So this site. Well, yeah. Don't go to the homepage because they have islands on anything. Go to like the docs page. But yeah. Actually, the docs page might not have islands, but yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it everywhere. Yeah. Oh, I was right. It is Rails. Cool.
There's the comment, and you know this because public. All right, cool. That was fun. Now, what Cynthia actually asked, what tutorial do you source recommend for JS beginners or ESLint? ESLint.org. They just redid their site. It's beautiful. It was nice before, but now it's beautiful.
Oh,
look at that freaking animation.
Oh, they have a playground. I love the playground.
Playgrounds are tight. Ooh. Beautiful. We're starting to take cues and lessons from this very nice site that they paid money to design and research in TypeScript ESLint. One could call us parasites. I would say I'm still thinking about the answer to that.
ESLint has money. It would be really cool for someone to create some sort of live updating directory of like every open source project and how much money they actually have.
That would be awesome, actually.
Because you can't compare yourself to like a company that just got VC funding, but you can compare yourself to like two projects that have no money and it's just people in their basements.
Yeah. I'm sure there's like a very long trail of like $10 a month because someone's like random friend or family member just thought it was a nice thing to sponsor. But yeah, this site is great. Highly recommend. They even have docs. I wouldn't even put these if I were them, but they know more than me about their projects, like migrating to 1.0. They're on like version 8 or something now. But
yeah, if you're still around from 10 years ago trying to upgrade to 1.0,
give up. I like, there was another, this one. Is it normal to adopt something like an Airbnb config? Back to this thing. And then turn off all the rules I don't like. isn't the point. You're supposed to try and adopt as much of the guidelines as possible, not just back out a lot. I personally don't recommend the Airbnb config anymore. Now that the plugins have their own recommended things, it's good if you're just getting started and you want to see what rules exist. So I would recommend turn on a whole bunch of ESLint rules, try out a bunch of different config. There's a really nice site, awesome ESLint. I guess a GitHub repo. Like see what you like from it. But personally, for most websites and most projects, I just go with these two plugins, TypeScript ESLint and Simple Import Sort, which does what it sounds like. But again, like you can try out this list. I would love to see some solid JS plugin here eventually.
Yeah, I don't. We probably have solid ESLint somewhere. I'm gonna Google it. You can. Yeah, we do. ESLint plugin solid.
Ah, should get that on there. So yeah, I'll just. So we should probably add that to this PR then.
Yeah, we should. You can tell how I don't use ESLint by the fact that I had to Google to see if my own community has an ESLint plugin. Because that is the thing about ESLint. If you join a project that already has ESLint, you usually don't have to do anything. You don't even know it's there. You just get nice red lines. So it's really just these new projects that you start where you're like, oh yeah, right, ESLint is a thing. Yeah, I think the solid ESLint rules probably put don't destructure your props. Actually, yeah, we should go through this. This is cool. This is cool. So they have different rules. I imagine some of them come from like a React JSX plugin.
Do you want me to like scroll through or? Oh, hey, you mentioned me. Us. Okay.
No, it's you. It's you. Yeah. So.
Josh. Oh yeah, it's about Josh. There we go. Another one of us.
So. I'm just confused. It's approaching a 1.0 release. Okay, so Josh has been working on it. Their latest commit is, oh my god, their latest commit has go to the GitHub and look at the latest commits. I love it. It's very relatable content. It's very relatable content.
Josh Wilson, VU, you are seen, heard, understood, and appreciated.
We know what's up. Okay, cool. Yeah, Maple Leaf there's actually like a secret Discord. In order to get in, you have to be Josh.
Yeah, so far it's me. There have been a lot of contenders. There's a Hollywood guy, Josh Brolin, close second, but all right. Yeah, actually, I do want to shout out another one that I actually forgot about. I just made this in a hurry because I was excited. JSX accessibility, another great one. And thus we see the problem with configuring ESLint, that there are already like, whatever, 5 plugins.
Wait, there's a plugin to check accessibility specifically in JSX. Like the idea is like, what is that? Go to some of the examples. Like what are they checking?
I'll know it doesn't integrate with TypeScript yet, but like it'll make sure that your images have alt text and that your anchors don't just say something like click here, which is not good for accessibility because a lot of people just.
This is like not that all it does is it has a dictionary of like bad link names and like looks it up.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how commonly that hits things. Like I didn't know this until I had multiple accessibility audits come in saying, hey, don't call the link click here, give it a title.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that the way they do it is like, well, we can just have a list of really bad things to call your link.
This is true.
Yeah, I appreciate this, but go watch my stream with Ben Myers to learn why you can never rely on a linter to fix your accessibility problems. But this is cool.
Yeah, it helps. Cool. I
So-
forget how deep into the queue we got. Is this all the things before we continue, or were there more things?
Well, go into the rules we turned off. So like,
Oh yeah,
no unsafe return. First of all, what's the easiest way? Like, if you see one of these and you're like, I want to learn what the rule is, what's the easiest way to look it up?
great question. What I would do is look it up on Google. Like, we have good SEO.
I love it. Where's the best place to look? Well, there's Google.
Yeah. But like, I want to assume. See, this is why I don't maximize Chrome, because I get this stupid.
Okay,
anyway,
actually, Maple Leaf's meme question is actually really good for talking about what ESLint can do. So in this case, ESLint does it have a runtime in it?
ESLint doesn't have a runtime, so JSX accessibility would not. I don't think the plugin rule would catch this right now, but if it were integrated with TypeScript, it could use the type system to know that text is the specific literal click here.
Cool. So you can, so like TypeScript has this whole, basically language server graph that an ESLint plugin could integrate with. And that is what you were using on the other stream I was on. You were writing ESLint rules and you were like, aha, I will use all these nodes from a fancy language graph to like pick out what I want.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just double clicked something I shouldn't have.
Is that
so?
Difference? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
TLDR, it basically runs a TypeScript check. Like right now I'm in my editor and I'm hovering over this variable. Actually, let me just make a new file in TypeScript mode and I'll just copy and paste Maple Leaf's very good comment. How I can't do that because God dang it.
Oh, because StreamYard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in language mode for TypeScript React because that's what the language mode is, right? All right. So what is this complaining about? I'm so sorry that I'm doing React.
Import React in a solid project. See if it works. I don't think it's going to work.
So sorry.
We don't have React in here.
TypeScript is making me do it. I'm sorry. But yeah, if you hover over text, this is actually good info for folks in general. How does TypeScript know when you hover over a variable what type that variable is? How does VS Code even know to show you that? VS Code runs TypeScript, what's called a language server, continuously in the background. And whenever you type code, it updates its knowledge of what types everything is. TypeScript would be able to look at this file and see that text is only ever going to be the string click here. So TypeScript would know that this WAT component, let's call it WAT with a capital W, is inaccessible if we had a plugin rule that used TypeScript's information. Ooh, I like this. Language tooling is the most boring, nerdiest, but most underappreciated thing ever. I mean, I'm pretty boring and nerdy and unappreciated, but yeah. I find it exciting, but I agree. For most people, this stuff is very unknown. And
yeah, I responded with a tweet from Erica, who like built the VS Code language tools for Astro. It's very intricate, sort of unseen work, but it does a ton of magic that you use all the time.
Yeah, really cool stuff. And this is super important, right? Like the developer experience of writing in real time is completely critical for any framework or library, right?
It's basically the #1 reason why Solid uses JSX, because JSX already had years of language tooling built up. When Svelte 3 came out or whatever, they had to like rewrite their language tools from Svelte 2 and adapt it to, you know what I mean? Like it's very, JSX hasn't changed in 10 years, probably for a good reason, right? You have to change the language tools.
Yeah. A few good questions here. I'll go in order. In editor, hover info for ESLint rules would be cool.
That would be really cool.
Wouldn't it? I can't get to my old Chrome window. That's not the. How do you unminimize? Help.
You go to the bottom of your doc.
Thank you.
You find it.
I hate this.
It's not a real
Shout
window.
out window. All right, you know what? I'm giving up. That window is lost forever. This is a studio. It doesn't have the keyboard shortcuts. So also my right arrow key at the software level stopped working without a shift or modifiers.
I didn't even know this was the thing. Rich was complaining that he can't edit Svelte language server code himself. I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's a lot of like the framework author, also being the language tools author is a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot to add. And so you can add, in addition to a VS Code settings file, which specifies settings for everyone in VS Code in the project, you can also add an extensions.json file, which recommends extensions. I don't know why I made it, because
I don't even know that.
And I'm just going to delete the file because I want to show you don't have to memorize any fancy path. You can, on your extensions view, add to workspace recommendations. I swear to God, this better work. There you go. Highly recommend the VS Code ESLint extension, because then you get exactly what folks were asking about in editor hover for ESLint rules, which is awesome. So like, let's say you do like export or like var what equals true in editor hover, which finally answers the question from a while ago.
They were asking in a ESLint config file, if you hover over an included rule, it should tell you what the rule does, right?
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Sweet. We loop back.
I completely misinterpreted. That's a great idea. ESLint config hover for what the rule
PR right now. Let's do it. Let's implement it. Let's go.
20 minutes later. File an extension. But yeah, this actually, I wanted to say, if you ever get an ESLint rule, go to...
Oh, you can click the blue.
You can click the blue. I'm just confused why. I thought we turned off the core no var rule, but I don't know what's happening. But yeah, either of these, you click the rule. You can trust TypeScript ESLint IO. We're very trustworthy people. And it opened in my other window. And then ESLint rules all have a docs website. All the legit plugins you could find have a docs website that explain what it does and like what the options are.
I'm giving this person a sub. They just said, "Hey, it's Dan." I'm gonna give them a sub. Okay, cool.
So someone said right-click the crow. But I somehow managed to change my mouse to I hate this operating system. Oh my God, there we go. Thank you. All right. So anyway, yeah, the ESLint extension is really good. I also recommend this little thing. I'm going to brag here. Sorry. I added this, ESLint Rules Customizations. It's a setting for the extension. I always change all my ESLint rules to be warning, so yellow squiggly instead of the default red squiggly, because it is confusing as all heck to most newcomers that TypeScript complaints give the same color squiggly as ESLint. It makes people not know what the difference is.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I recommend use Prettier as your formatter, fix your ESLint rules on save, format on save also, customize all your ESLint rules to show as warnings instead of like errors for some of them. And then also use the version of TypeScript that's installed in your node modules, not whatever's global on your VS Code, which might be different from the project.
So this settings.json file is not in the repo, is it?
It is in the repo. I actually
great.
removed it from the git ignore. The git ignore previously was ignoring the VS Code settings folder, not VS Code.
But you put some nice people.
Yeah.
And because it will if you have a local settings, it will already merge them, right?
Yeah. People's user settings are stored at some global folder. I forget where. So generally per project settings, in most projects I've seen, people want unified recommendations like this.
This person is really helpful with like all their Mac suggestions. Like, we clearly do not know how to use this operating system, but Oliver absolutely does.
Yeah. Thank you, Oliver. Cool. Yeah, I had to install a rect. I hate customizing the default. It means it's harder to set up new computers or switch between, but I had to install rectangle. That's how I've been doing like snap to the left, snap to full screen stuff. It's a keyboard shortcut. BTT is, oh yeah. Please do post a link, Electro Bruin or anyone. Cool. So I think that's all the questions we queued in the chat. So Mac should have less crappy defaults. All right. So I think we were on looking at the rules. Do I remember right, Dan? You were interested in what these do or how to find out more about them?
Let's do like the quick, because I wanted to know where we could find them, but now I know where we can find them. Let's do the quick, like 20-second each one.
Sure. We can lump all of these no unsafe ones together. In TypeScript, the any type is the YOLO, let me do whatever I want type, which is unsafe and generally frowned upon. And we have lint rules to stop you from using it. It's still accidentally possible to accidentally have an any sneak in there. Like some methods return any. So this will yell at you if you have an any and you're like returning it from something or calling it as a function, for example.
Okay, so when you see unsafe, you should read any.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll just like make an example function, like export function gives number, input string, and this is supposed to return number, input.length, just as an example. Like I personally would remove the colon number, but whatever. If you like do gives number value that is any and 3 as any. Let's see what the ESLint would say on this one. So if I just re-enable all these rules, I have a complaint. Oh, unsafe argument. I forgot to disable this one.
So the reason why you wanted to disable these rules is just because it would break too much in the code base?
Yes. You should enable these rules. Highly recommend. And in fact, we can see immediately an error here to like if let's say I'm just calling this as like some arbitrary method on the input length. Why is this complaining? Too precision. Like let's say that you thought that what you're taking in is, oh my god, and I can't use the right key on my keyboard for some ungodly reason. Like let's say you thought you were giving this a string, but like this is actually completely valid TypeScript code. I'm using an assertion to say the 3 is actually any, and then I'm passing it to this function. This would crash at runtime.
Okay.
So now that's why all the ESLint rules are complaining about all these different things.
So I'm curious, since we're in the code base, like if you leave it like this where the rules are enabled, like what breaks? Like what does it yell at?
Let's find out. Actually, let me delete this code here. npm run lint.
Why does it say max warning 0?
Oh boy, that's a thing that I defined. There are two really good not on by default, off by default settings in ESLint. Rules can be configured to be warn or error. Warnings won't fail your build, but it's a good idea not to have them anyway. It's like a nice onboarding strategy. In my experience, projects that allow rules that have warnings to not fail the build just collect giant lists of warnings that people ignore, and it's a noise that
it's interesting because you'd think ESLint should already have everything as warnings, but there's like a distinction within ESLint where some ESLint things are really bad and some ESLint things are sort of bad.
Yeah. Like what is an error? The entire ESLint spectrum is this stuff is not a TypeScript compiler error. This is just a probable issue. So nothing ESLint outputs is an error, but you should fail your build on ESLint complaints. Otherwise people ignore them.
Right.
So
it's just
everything
weird.
ESLint says is an error.
It's just weird that ESLint has like a severity rating within it, but it's only error or warning.
Yeah. One thing that I actually have been debating about changing my personal preference to is changing rule customizations to be severity downgrade, because VS Code actually has an info level 1 below warning, which is a blue squiggly.
Oh, so now, okay, I see the blue squigglies now. Oh no, those are
from my spell check extension, which is not something you have in your repo.
Okay, nice.
It's really annoying. It's really annoying, but also really useful.
You should just turn it on only for like markdown, but I guess you want variable names to be spell checked.
Yeah, I found a lot of typos in variable names, pubic void main and stuff like that. For the Java programmers out there, that's Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like Java would tell you that you typed that word wrong.
That's true. Yeah. But someone actually asked earlier, and I totally forgot till now, what's the best way to disable rules inline? I can't find it in the chat, but whatever.
Yeah.
There are ways to do it. Let's say that you have a whole bunch of complaints. I don't understand how this isn't complaining right now. Oh, right. It's because I got confused. In the ESLint extension, you can actually tell it to disable a rule for a line, which is my recommendation if you just really need it to shut up. You can also disable it for the entire file. That was another option. It's just a different comment. But if you have a disable that does nothing, let's say that I had an any here and then I complained and then fixed it, report unused disable directives will tell you, hey, you don't need this. You should get rid of it. So that's why. Make sense? Seem reasonable so far? You look very ponderous.
I'm thinking to myself, I will never write a comment like that ever.
It's intentionally ugly, I think. Maybe not intentionally, but I think it's a good thing it's ugly. You should be encouraged not to write it, like you said.
But yeah, let's check out some of the stuff that's broken in the code base.
Sure. And I will also note, while I'm setting stuff back up, ESLint ignores are different from TS ignores, which is the TypeScript way to ignore a type complaint on the next line. All right, so you have 151 issues.
Yeah.
I need to...
Are they all in? Yeah. Okay, so one thing to note is that like some of the code is like example code. Because again, there's a tutorial in this repository, and the tutorial has code that doesn't use TypeScript at all as one of the options. But I don't think that's what this is looking at. This is looking at the implementation of the thing you're building in the tutorial, and the problem is what? Let's see. Oh, this is
any's.
So this is code that comes from a server. So that's why there would be any's introduced. But I thought I introduced types. Wait, go to the top of this file.
You did introduce types. It's a TSX. You got types. You don't even have the any keyword anywhere in this file. The word any does not appear, and yet somehow you have whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, like 10, a dozen complaints.
So yeah, this isn't. I don't feel so bad about this code because. Fine. All right. Whatever.
Wait.
I get it.
This is good. This is good.
That's the point. This is code that doesn't matter
to me. I'm going to put overrides then. I'm going to say for anything that's, files in a tutorial. I'm just going to say anything in content.
Just go to the sidebar. There's like a subfolder that it's in.
Oop. Wrong one. It's fun. Tutorials.
Yeah, because basically anything in the content folder, if there's a component in there, it's like implementing a special thing. But you know what? I don't know. Eventually, I will go back and fix that. So these rules are helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to override it. I can stand it as long as the code will still compile. I think it's right. ESLint doesn't stop it from compiling. It's just a helper.
That's correct.
So we can leave them, and I'll fix them maybe before I die.
Maybe. Cool. And I will note response.json returns a promise for any, not unknown. So that's how that happened. All right, let's look at main. So ignoring the red squigglies, which are something we haven't covered yet, we have some yellows. Props.children.
I just want to say before we get into it, I did not write this code. Okay, so here's a really easy fix. We didn't type the props. So let's figure out what's calling this, because it's going to be only one thing that's calling main. So let's go to the. That won't help. That won't really help. Let's go to use, what's it called? Find all something. So root calls main, and ref is probably a function. So scroll up to the top to find main ref, or go to definition or whatever. I have Vim VS Code that you just hit GD. All right. Well, that's not typed either. So that's all great. All right, let's find what actually uses this ref. By the way, I recently ranked refs as a D on the solid primitives tier list.
D.
I highly recommend avoiding ref unless you need it. Okay. So it is all. So ref is a anchor is a div that contains an anchor tag. So we can type it as like HTML div element or null or whatever. Yeah. And then you can change that to question mark dot, right? Does that fix it?
My God, I can't use the right key and it is killing me. All right.
Okay. Great. And then the reason why there's a squiggly line below is because we didn't type the props, right?
Yes. Would you mind if I just quickly explain why it says red squiggly ing? Because that's actually not something that was there in the repo before.
Oh, tell me.
So there are TypeScript settings completely separate from ESLint settings. I enabled the strict compiler option, which enables a bunch of other compiler options, one of which is no implicit any, which says if you have a variable or parameter whose type can't be inferred from the initial value or default value, complain. It is implicitly type any because its type cannot be determined. So that's why we're getting red squigglies on this until we add the type annotation.
Right. So basically, once you have this lint rule, the idea is anytime you do a let and you don't define it to something, you have to type it as or null, right?
It doesn't have to be. TypeScript's actually pretty smart about knowing whether something is defined before it's used. So like you could do this, and then like if true, whatever, main ref equals whatever's an HTML div element, and then you can do main ref dot whatever the first thing is, and then here if you did main ref dot attribute node or whatever, TypeScript would yell at you that it might not exist. Although I don't know why it's right. It's like here TypeScript would give you a warning it's being used before assigned. So it's smart. You don't have to say or null.
Yeah, I think we once had a big argument about this in the Discord that repeated like 3 months later because that's how Discord works in terms of how you should type your refs. I like saying explicitly like this isn't going to be set until later. The problem is ref is like a special thing. Okay, it's not yelling at us below anymore, which is good. Yeah, ref is like super weird because basically ref tells solid to like set a variable later on. It's extremely weird from a TypeScript perspective. Like you're passing the name of a variable that will be set. Like, what the fuck is going on? That's why I don't recommend using refs unless you really, really have to, because they're weird and annoying.
So what you're doing isn't type safe. I don't approve of it. I'm giving you a finger wag. I agree with your D assessment.
So there's a better way. So if you go to the one sec, I'm gonna put a thing in chat. So there's a way to use refs that is more type safe, which is I'm pulling it up in the sidebar here. Refs. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this in chat and you can click on it. So if you look at the example, So you have let my div, and then there's two ways to use it. One is you can. I actually don't like this example because the second one is not equivalent, but basically you can either pass the name of a variable, which is like weird, or you can, instead of passing a variable, you can pass a callback function. And that I think is type safe. So we can go ahead and do that version in our code. So instead of passing ref to main, we just pass a function that goes element. Yeah, you're in the right. No, wait, go back. Undo that. That was all fine. The ref that one. So instead of passing a variable, we'll pass a function that takes an element and then sets main ref equals element. Yeah, and that's, I think, more type safe.
Yes.
I guess you can type element as HTML div.
So the right way to type it would be to declare the props for main as having a ref.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's here. No implicit any is what's complaining about props because it implicitly has any. Oops.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this because we're learning both TypeScript and Solid and ESLint, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, ref should just be a function now. Like, let's define
what
it.
Is the type for that?
It's just a function that goes from element to an element can be really specific here because main props is not typing a special solid feature. The thing that's actually using the special solid feature, if you scroll down in main.tsx, the solid feature is only used in this file. I don't know where in this file, but somewhere in this file we're calling refs there. So here we now want to call this, we now want to duplicate that function code basically. But it is, yeah, so that works. So that's, it's already working. Cool. No, we don't have to,
right,
because it's already a function, right? So it'll call it.
That's what my mental model broke for a second, and then thank you, you repaired it. Cool.
So yeah, so all we have to do is, because basically we're saying like, hey, you know this special solid feature we're going to use, we want to set something in the parent instead of something in the same file, and that's why we have to use a prop. Oh, Parasocial Meta Learning says this works the same way in React BTW. Nothing solid specific here. I think the only solid specific thing is that you can get away by using refs less in solid, because in React, the only way to get access to an element directly is to use a ref. But in solid, anytime you create an element in JSX, you have, it's a real DOM element.
Like, I have a question. Is there like a shorthand function type like solid.ref or something for the ref?
Probably for ref functions. So first of all, let's type the children. So the way to do this is actually, hang on. I always like use this plugin in VS Code that like imports everything for me. So I'm gonna send the TypeScript guide, and the TypeScript guide has a special spot in it for refs. So go to refs. It's like in the sidebar, but you can't see the sidebar because the screen is small.
That one?
Oh, it actually doesn't tell you about the ref function. It tells you how to fix the non-function version by adding a little exclamation point when you use it. Yeah. Right. They use undefined, not null. Actually, that makes sense.
This is a typo. Use a definite assignment assertion bang. There's no bang.
No, the next one.
Oh, I would have put it here. Okay, cool.
No, but if you read this guide, it shows you all the different versions.
Oh, there we go. Nice. I jumped to conclusions. I'm sorry. I assumed mediocrity when I had excellence right in front of me.
But I still, Parasocial Meta Learning says there's no special shorthand. It makes sense why there's no special shorthand, because you often want to type the ref with the exact element that it is, not with like generic element.
I want something like interface ref function t, or I guess like, let's use a type here. T equals ref t void. And then like we could do some sort of like nice reinforcement of like t extends element or something.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. Speaking of which, for children, there's what I usually use is parent props, which is a type that takes a generic, and then you can pass main props to it. No, like main props is it's complicated because we usually just use types for everything, and parent props like takes a t, but if this works, it works.
Let's go to definition. What is parent props?
Parent props takes a t and then wraps it and gives it children.
Whoa. What? Why? I'm not against it. I just don't understand.
Like the way I usually do this is that. Yeah.
Huh.
So
I'm trying to figure out when it's better to use interfaces for performance, and I haven't been able to come up with an actual reproduction case of TypeScript suffering for performance using this. So you do you.
There's like, you can also just write children : JSX element, like that works too. You could use interfaces for this. In solid, in most code bases, I see just a lot of types everywhere. It's really a like, it's not a problem in design, but like, it's a red flag when your system has two equivalent ways of accomplishing the same thing. And like, it kind of, because like, this is an example of this where whoever was designing, because fun fact about the solid types, they weren't really part of the project originally, and then people added all the TypeScript stuff, and then over time people were like, this TypeScript stuff isn't, like, we didn't used to have parent props, like someone made that a year ago or something. And so like, whoever was designing that was thinking to themselves, oh, this is going to work great if people are using types, but it turns out it doesn't work if you're using interfaces. And that's, you could say it's their fault, or you could say it's TypeScript's fault, because could you have a version of this that works for both?
Yes. That also works because parent props defaults its type to empty object.
Oh.
I actually have, I think oh no, go ahead.
What was it before? Oh, before we had what was it?
It was generic. And because of how parent props is set up, it's the p equals empty object. So by default, the p is nothing.
Wait, why isn't this the same thing? I don't. Wait, we couldn't use this type. We couldn't use the parent props.
Either works.
Right, but I'm saying, how could you change the parent props definition to work with interfaces?
Oh, sorry, I misheard. It works.
Oh, it already works?
Interfaces can extend.
Oh, so we didn't have a problem at all. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we can go back to using interfaces. I thought there was a problem that caused you to write it as a type or whatever.
Oh no, I just was following.
Okay.
The story. I would put forward though. I would recommend doing not the typed version because of a couple of reasons. One, you get this ugly display, which gets worse when you have more complex things. Like this is one of the downfalls of types. Like people, in order to teach people how to do stuff like this, you then have to explain everything that goes into it. So explaining intersection types or explaining interface extension is just an added burden. And many people who are just getting started with TypeScript will not appreciate having to learn that at the same time they're learning solid.
So you're saying like for interfaces, you're saying for solid, use interfaces for props and literally do children::JSX element.
Yeah. So Parasocial Meta Learning has been posting some great stuff in the chat. Like React has a bunch of extra things, like they call it React Node because they need to, because it's like JSX element and then a bunch of other crap. But like if this works, oh no.
Yeah, import.
If this works, then it works. Like this, the simpler the better. You don't have to explain generics and intersections and all this. Like I made the mistake when we converted Codecademy to TypeScript of using basically this form for things, and then that meant we had to explain generics to people. Oh, sorry, I used this form. We used react.fc, which was fine, but then we also had to explain generics or just do the hand wavy. It's fine, which hurt learning. So pedagogical preference, not like a hard need.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I said, these were even added recently.
Cool. On the bright side,
now that we have
the ref thingy.
The ref thingy. There's still other thingies in this file.
Yeah.
What's up with the red squiggly below? Theo's here. Hey Theo.
That's us. Are you sub commenting? Didn't someone post recently, sub nerds on Twitter? Yeah, so TypeScript has no way of knowing that this returns the same thing each time it's called. So that's why it's complaining that, hey, this might return undefined.
I also
even though you said when.
I don't like the not. You know what? We're done with this file. I didn't write it. I'll fix it another time.
Lol.
Someone gifted Theo a sub. I wonder who it was. Sweet.
There it
Theo is. Actually, Theo, I was telling them about your Discord because your Discord recently added a new sub-only channel for special subs who pay more, which I think is a nice touch. Ryan is here. All right, now.
Wait, Ryan, why is the word solid in your name? Are you a big fan of the project or some such?
So what Ryan is talking about is if you go to that place where the TypeScript was not knowing what's going on. So go back to the So the when is not type safe, right? The idea is that we could design it so that it does know, but we have to like rewrite the implementation of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like we could fix it. Never mind. Okay, let's move on. Let's do the other.
Theo would add 1, but in order to be correct, you'd have to add 2. So this
I think Theo wants to add it to the red squigglies. You can do it. You can do it after to make them shut up. But then you get a blue squiggly.
You get the blue squiggly from ESLint because we rightfully say this is a sign that your code might be wrong. But as per the docs, this sometimes is necessary. So then you could. Well, oops, that's not what I wanted. Then you could quick fix to disable for the line. So
yeah, like Theo says, the show component isn't real TypeScript. It can be. Like right now, it's just implemented sort of poorly, so it's not type safe. And Ryan has been talking about a new version to fix that, but it would be a breaking change, so we have to wait till like solid 2.0. But In the meantime, we implemented like half of it, and by we I mean Ryan, in Solid 1.5. But we're not going to talk about that now.
Okay.
Great. Okay, what else should we? Render props, lol. Yeah, I can go on a whole rant about render props. We need to add props to this too. I think this project didn't always have TypeScript. Fun fact, Nikhil just copy and pasted the React beta docs and changed it to Solid. That was the original that was the original version of this project. So yeah, there's a lot of old code in here, but that was easy. All I needed was children. No, so for this one you can just do
parent props.
Parent props. That's
right.
That's the shtick. You can also there's also like a parent component type if you want to just type the function itself. Yeah, const.
Parent component.
Yeah.
And does this take a? Oops.
No, well, it can take a generic for the additional props.
Yeah, this is your React FC. Is the children optional, like added automatically to it?
It is added automatically.
Oh my god. The React community just metaphorically destroyed everything and everyone in its radius because the community types for React previously had this in there, and then they removed it because not all components take children. So it's more correct to not add the children. And that breaking change made people lose their minds. So have fun with that.
You know what? I left the React community a while ago. What happens there is not my problem anymore. Yuri said, left for a second and this became React. Yuri fell asleep and she just woke up. She uses my streams to go to sleep because we explain boring stuff.
Great.
So
also +1 Theo. Me too.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to go back into React World for a little bit because I'm talking at React Brussels and I'm going to be doing a talk about React, but specifically how Solid helps you write better React. So it's going to be fun. But
Ryan actually brings up a really good point, by the way, that parent component literally says it's a parent of children. So thank you, Ryan. That means you don't have the same issue. And Dad, did we talk about this? That we're going to see each other in Brussels.
Oh, right. You're going there too. Are you speaking about TypeScript?
I forget. What am I speaking there? I forget. Googling it.
You're really excited for this conference.
I am actually really excited. I'm sorry. It's late. It's like 7:15 our time. I'm
totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think we were supposed to wrap up the stream at 7, but I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, we can talk about some of the other high level stuff in the PR.
Yeah.
If you want. The CI is definitely the hardest stuff to understand.
Oh yeah. So oh god, that deserves more time. I have a hard stop at 7:30. Yeah. Oh wait, I was supposed to add like or 0. Sorry. So right now, npm run compile is what runs TypeScript. I added a package script, and it actually fails with a bunch of errors because I added no implicit any. But anyway, here's what these workflows do. They're actually straightforward once you know the things. Like I said, it's just knowing the things requires a bunch of contextual knowledge. So you had a similar thing before where I'm saying this compile job is going to run whenever you push to main or have a commit on a pull request, any branch. That's what this weird syntax is for. So whenever you want it.
At npm run compile, we didn't have before, right? That just runs ESLint and TypeScript and everything.
Compile runs TypeScript, although I think I actually should have said npm. I forget how to run. This might assume a global TSC. I keep forgetting. Someone reported a bug in one of my repos, but you're not using Yarn, so never mind. But yes, compile is just the TypeScript compiler TSC.
The setup for this has so much friction. Like the fact that even you're forgetting things, and like this is like your thing, your niche in open source.
Yeah.
we need some. I don't blame anyone who doesn't have ESLint set up in their project. Like compare it to Prettier. Prettier is like you install the extension and maybe make a file in your repository, and ESLint is like, okay, you need an ESLint file, you need an ESLint plugin, you need like scripts to run ESLint, and you need probably CI to make sure no one fucks it up.
Yeah.
Because let's do the high level overview. Like, why do we want CI here? It's so that if someone doesn't use ESLint, we don't have any issues.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate. There is at least one effort that I know of, Rome, to like make this all stand and consolidated together. But yeah, it's not great. Right now, we're kind of doing the best with what we have.
Theo, does create T3 app install ESLint, or does that leave it to the reader? Because we could put some ESLint in our solid templates if we really wanted to. I feel like, yeah, it feels like of course it doesn't. I couldn't even convince them to add Prettier.
Wait, Prettier's. I have hard negative feelings about not having Prettier in a project. Hard negative.
The thing about Theo's cult is they're really, really into TypeScript. Like, they say it's irresponsible to not use TypeScript, which I think is correct. You can make the same argument for some ESLint rules, which teach you how to use TypeScript correctly. So it's kind of like if you take the argument that TypeScript makes your code responsible, but then you allow using TypeScript irresponsibly, there might be something there. But it's interesting because the TypeScript compiler also has its own fancy rules in it. So it's kind of like ESLint is a layer on top of, because you can configure TypeScript to be extra strict about things.
Yeah.
So ESLint is like on top of that.
There are different levels of certainty. TypeScript, for the most part, will give you a complaint if it's like 99.9% sure you messed up. ESLint rules can range from like 95 to like 90%, which seems like a pretty small difference, but similar to how 3 nines is a different site reliability metric than 7 nines. Like, ESLint rules are not certainty. One of the most useful ESLint rules that we provide in TypeScript ESLint is no floating promises, which has caught untold number of bugs, but also has a lot of false positives in real user code. So, yeah. And yeah, Theo, I'd love to talk with you about adding TypeScript ESLint there, because it really is useful, but it involves more than just plug and forget. Like, you do need per project configuration for ESLint. Yeah,
like to his point, like it's one of those things you can't, like Prettier you can npm install. TypeScript ESLint, like you can't npm install, and therefore it would be nice for a scaffolder to do that. However, if it requires a lot of maintenance afterwards, that's an additional consideration.
Yeah, like look at all these things that you may or may not want to use. Do you have CSS and JS? Do you want to mark things deprecated? Do you use Angular or whatever? And even within, let's say, just React, sorry, again, solid people, like what variant of type safety do you want for it, using one of 2 possible GraphQL things or TRBC or whatever? It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, this PR makes a lot of sense, where Theo is like, add Prettier with no text in his description. And then someone was like, well, it's really easy to install Prettier and you probably already have it in your editor. So like, whatever. So like, that's a really good argument for Prettier. But I think based on this conversation, ESLint is like a whole bag of I'm mixing metaphors, a whole complicated thing.
A whole bag of apples that I'd like.
But like, yeah, I'm still where I'm sitting is like, big projects like a docs effort absolutely need ESLint, but I think your random app probably doesn't.
Yeah. It's similar to TypeScript. TypeScript, I personally don't use it. I don't find it useful in most of my 1 to 2 file little projects. After 3 files, I'm like, oh my God. ESLint I put on after like, I don't know, 10, 15 files.
Yeah, that makes sense.
After 20 files, I enable the real intense rules. After 100 files, I'm like, give me every single rule in existence. I will write them myself if I need.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Is it really true that it's harder to add ESLint to an existing project?
I'd say, yeah. I mean, look at this PR. We had 151 issues, only 10 of which were dubious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not that the setup was hard, it's that the rules are hard.
Yeah. It's you have to fix. Same with TypeScript. Adding TypeScript to a 3,000 file JavaScript project is like, if you're in that, pay me, Josh, because I will spend time to it, because that is like you need a lot of effort for. So
yeah.
adding it to the beginning is easier.
Maybe another time we can do a stream where we do it from like set up ESLint from scratch. Because I have this project. I'm actually going to be demoing this project at VeetConf, so it's like really important that the code base actually be good. And it would be cool to like walk through, because I wrote all the code and most of the code is like pretty good, but it would be cool to see what like ESLint throws our way.
Yeah. Word. I have 2 minutes left before I have a hard stop. There's a new ramen place near us, and I promised a double or a date. So
Awesome.
in 2 minutes, what should we talk about or cover?
Ramen. I don't know. This was cool. I think having the PR here so people can go poke through and see all the intricacies of setting up ESLint. I'll probably go through, because you made a bunch of suggestions, so I have to like approve those, right?
Yeah.
Oh, who
to raid?
Who's Theo? Who should we raid?
Stream manager. Oh my god. Dan, every time you join my stream, you or one of your friends, I get like a bajillion follows and notifications. Are you aware that you are like the only reason I have viewers half the time?
I'm so glad. I'm glad that I'm a good guest. I also like gift subs to people I like. So, and no, that doesn't mean if I didn't gift you a sub, I don't like you. It just means today I like someone else better.
That was the next question. By the way, I remember what I'm talking about at React Brussels. I was between two talks. I'm talking about web VR karaoke. I built a prototype in React for a friend who made a startup-y thing called Karaoke Night.
So you're not talking about React at React Brussels?
I am. It's in React.
I
wanted to apologize to you for bringing up React again.
Gotcha.
Personally, you, Ryan, and everyone else who's
all right. So let's find like a super small stream. Let's see.
It's the annoying autoplay on Twitch.
Because none of Theo's homies are live.
Team Griffin. Oh, 100 viewers.
No, we can't do that. There's the third one. It's T3. It's T3. It's T3. It's Theo's thing. Let's do it.
Wow. Theo, this is perfect for you.
This is perfect.
And the goblin.
This is perfect. Let's raid. All right. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Give Josh a follow. Give me a follow if you haven't already. I'm going live tomorrow night with Mishko. And yeah, let's raid. How do we raid? I think it's like /raid. I don't know how it works.
Oh, I just do it through the stream manager, which then says command raid. Does that show up in StreamYard?
I think you have to just. I don't see any of it, but I think people. Oh, I see it. All right. Well, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks all for joining. This was a lot of fun. Like and subscribe, of course. Also sponsor me. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Cam the Goblin.